Here we're at 71 degrees now in Sebring. Going to be gorgeous today. Up into the 80s. It's 8:41 now. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. You do that. Time to check in and find out what you're going to ask your tax advisor about by checking in on Wall Street and find out what your IRA and 401k is doing today. On the telephone, I got Phillip Statler from Statler Financial Services in downtown Sebring. Phillip, good morning. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, Dave. Doing well for this last day of October. However, the markets are not happy. They weren't happy yesterday. They're not happy this morning. The earnings, I think, have just been a mixed boat, and we've seen more misses, it seems like so far, than we've seen beats.
And that's the measure, and the ones that beat end up giving guidance that end up scaring people, and we end up with just a foul mood on Wall Street in general. To bring us up to date, yesterday was another red day. No, it wasn't a monster sell-off, but it was red. Dow was down 92. Standard & Poor's was down just over 19, and NASDAQ was the one that took the big hit, a full 0.5% plus, down 105 points. And I'm going to just bet a nickel that Microsoft didn't help it. I mean, this is a tough room. My read was that they generally beat, didn't they?
Well, Microsoft did beat on the numbers. They beat by 20 cents a share, came in at $3.30. Revenue was up about $1 billion more than expected. However, let's remember their guidance, and they talked about this earlier, is that AI is going to cost them more this next quarter. Their investment into AI is going to cost them more this quarter, which is going to reduce their cash flow. And so that's got them trading down 3.5% this morning.
Like I said, it's a tough room to play. One of the sidebar things that I read yesterday morning with all the artificial intelligence servers out there eating up power, some of the big companies are talking about building their own nuclear power plants in order to power these guys. So now the current hawk adventurous stock are the nuclear companies.
Well,
It's like a house of cards, isn't it?
yeah, it is. I mean, I think they're refiring up 3 Mile Island to support one of the centers that I think Microsoft is putting together.
Oh, Lordy. Just to give you an idea, other stuff that came out, the government data dump this morning, the new number for unemployment claims, a little bit of a pleasant surprise. We ended up with 216,000 first-time unemployment claims last week, and we got the fabled Federal Reserve favorite print inflation rate in, the PCE inflation, up 0.2% last month for an annualized 2.1%. PCE inflation rate. I don't have an annual one for the core that Jay Paulson says he really follows carefully, but maybe there are indications that we're at least getting in the zip code of 2% inflation, right?
Maybe, Dave. I just, we continue to see, growth slowing down. Inflation seems to be getting out of control, even though you and I would probably agree that it doesn't feel like it when we go to the grocery store. Um,
Uh-uh.
but it seems like maybe things are finally are coming together.
I got to assume probably somebody over in the Harris campaign is going to be touting the progress toward 2% inflation off of this report today. It's going to come out as a press release in the presidential race somewhere. Now, if we find the core still up around 2.9, the other side will be repeating that one over and over again, and politics continue through next Tuesday. I led with Microsoft as much as anything as kind of a picture as to what the earnings season like. You give me a good report, you beat the street, things look okay. Sometimes your profits are even better than last year, but as soon as you put out a little hint that things might cost a bit more in the future on guidance, they start selling you like chiclets. I'm kind of getting a picture that's looking at the NASDAQ, that's a common thread among a lot of the tech stocks this season, right?
Well, it is. I mean, let's look at Meta, one of the other Magnificent Seven, and Facebook holding company. Meta, they beat on earnings as well, so substantially. I mean, it came in at 603 versus 525.
Ooh.
Revenue was just a little bit ahead of expectations, but they reported weaker than expected user numbers and warned of some significant acceleration in its infrastructure expenses. So they're going to have to spend some money in 2025, and that will be their third quarter for them on a fiscal basis. And so they are going to end up spending more money for that. And so that's affecting them this morning, down a little over 1%.
And once again, beat the street, give guidance that indicates you're going to spend more, and they start selling you off like chiclets again. Wonder
Yeah,
what it's going to be. We got a couple of other big ones coming out at the end of the day today, so we're not done with the Magnificent Seven yet. We're going to hear from Apple and Amazon, and both of those I suspect we're going to hear something similar on because Amazon is a great big server farm, and they're probably looking at the same things, aren't they?
Probably so. Every making some investment in AI and that kind of stuff. But we've got two pharmaceuticals reported, Merck and Bristol Myers. Both of them did well as far as the earnings. Uh, Merck beat by 7 cents a share at $1.57. Revenue ahead of expectations. But again, we're having some, look at the current quarter. Things aren't going to be quite as rosy. And so we've got everybody seems to be trading down a little bit this morning, down 2.3%. Bristol Myers, again, another pharmaceutical company, they beat as well. $1.80 versus $1.49, revenue ahead of expectations. And they're actually trading up on their numbers, 2% this morning.
Well, I see some good news for somebody's stock. You add to that, well, we're talking big pharma. It's hard to feel sorry for big pharma, but Eli Lilly kind of tanked yesterday after they missed their expectations too. You know the country's in trouble when you can't sell drugs, Philip.
Hey, we had some travel stocks reported. Bookingholdings.com. They reported a pretty substantial quarter too. They remember they're a pretty high priced stock, and so their earnings were $83.39 a share versus $77.52 that was expected. Revenue was ahead of expectations as well. They got a nice pop this morning, up 6%.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it is. Uber reported. I mean, we got a bunch of them coming out today. Uber reported they missed on their third quarter expectations as far as gross bookings, and so that's affecting them this morning, down 9.1%, Dave.
Youch.
Yeah.
That business model has always seemed a little bit dicey to me as far as whether or not they can maintain it. It sounds to me like some of the folks are coming home to roost on them.
Yeah, it is. Hey, a big surge today. We've made fun of Carvana off and on because they almost went belly up. But they really had a good quarter. Third quarter, they beat on revenue and on earnings. And they beat substantially, Dave. They came in at 64 cents. They were only expected to make 25 cents a share. And so big move there. They seem to be moving a little bit more towards the high end cars, and so that's helping them out. They're trading up today a little over 18.5%.
Wow.
Yeah.
The vending machines must be working better.
We had Roku reported. Now they're the opposite of Carvana. They had a little bit of an issue there. They revenue was down by about $4 million for the quarter. And so that was, I'm sorry, that's earnings. Earnings were down by about $4 million for the quarter. Revenue was basically beat expectations, but they're getting hammered this morning, down 14.5%.
Like I keep saying, tough room. We got a whole pile of them coming out today. Is there any chance that you've heard from like MasterCard, or are they coming out toward the end? I'm thinking about Visa reported yesterday. I was curious if we had confirmation.
No, it must come out later today.
All
I don't
right.
see it on my list.
It's a pile. We're going to get a high percentage of the S&P 500 reporting. Got time for one more. What do we got?
All right, so let's look at how about Etsy? Etsy, we've talked about them before.
Mm-hmm.
Etsy came in and they beat on earnings. Revenue was a little bit ahead of expectations as well, and they're getting a nice bump this morning, up 7.5%.
All righty. Resetting the table. It was an off day yesterday, not catastrophic, but everything was down. 45 minutes before we opened this morning, off of that checkerboard of reports we've got this morning. What are we looking at 45 minutes early?
Dave, it's down. It's down. We got the Dow 30 down a little over 0.4%. That's $178. The S&P 500 is down almost 0.6%. That's $34. The Nasdaq 100 down 0.7%. That's almost $143. So solid red this morning when we get started. Silver's also down this morning. Below 34 is down 1.4%. Gold's trading down 0.5%. And that black gold crude oil is heading up 0.9% to $69.24 a barrel right now.
Geez, everything's going in the wrong direction this morning, isn't it?
It is. It really is, Dave.
Pretty much the same case of the flu over in the foreign markets as well. Asian rim market, China is mainland markets generally up overnight. Nothing else was, giving the Asian rim kind of a red tinge to it this morning. Over in Europe, it is an international financial community, and when we catch cold, everybody else gets the sniffles too. European indexes down pretty evenly between 0.75% and 1% halfway through their trading day as well. I hope red's your favorite color, because there's going to be a lot of red on the markets all the way around the world today. Getting my retirement together takes planning, and as early as 40 is not too early to think about it. How do I find you to be able to figure out how I can retire whenever it comes and the way I planned on it?
Yeah, that's why I developed the core retirement design to help people design that retirement they always dreamed of. They can give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule their core retirement analysis. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
And back again here on Light tomorrow with a little help from O.J. Scott. He's going to be doing the morning show for me while I do the Advent Health Golf thing. We'll see you on Monday, all right?
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thank you, sir. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. Hope your month of October went well. As we head into November tomorrow, we hope you join us then. Take care now.